This is Scheme to Death with football columnist Murph Baldwin, delving deep into scheme and personnel as only he can do. And now, your host, Murph Baldwin.
Yo, what's good, people? Something new. Your boy Top Billin back into podcasting? Well, at least for this particular episode here, we'll see how it goes, right? Man, back in the day, I used to be all about some podcasts. I mean, way back before any Seattle Seahawks fan ever heard of me, right? Yeah, we can get into that too, right? Podcasting, man, be a little bit lax. We can talk about, more things than just what I see on the film. So, but yeah, man, back in the day, man, I was on V Sporto Network. I'm talking about back in my Bleacher Report SB Nation days. V Sporto was one of the first companies to have a network of people that they paid to podcast. So you had people who were podcasting, but you had people who were storing stuff up on iTunes and stuff like that at the time. So getting that opportunity, I'm saying, man, maybe 10, 11 years ago, something like that. Yeah, it was definitely an experience, no doubt about that. Eventually, though, I got burned out podcasting. Hopped on YouTube, man. After what? Man, after my Rivals days, right? After my term at UGA Sports, right? Rivals website ended. I think I was still moonlighting at a couple of other websites, but that was the primary one that I was working at, right? I started this YouTube channel, man, and never looked back. So obviously I arrived at YouTube with a bit of a following from already being on the internet in different capacities. Obviously, like I said before, Saturday Down South. I was at Yahoo Sports Radio on a nationally syndicated radio show. So yeah, I had been pretty much biding my time on the internet at some pretty high profile places. So I was able to rival a little bit of a following, man, and it just kind of took off from there. So it's been a nice 6 years, I believe, at YouTube now. So I've been looking to kind of get more content out, right? Podcasting is definitely a way to do that. When I'm behind that film, man, I mean, we're talking hours and hours and hours and hours, especially covering multiple teams and stuff. So I end up not really getting a lot done while getting a lot done, if you get what I'm saying, right? Having to clip stuff up and having to really just hone in on it, right? I try to be extremely particular. I'm talking about stuff that I chart, stuff that I put in a vault. I'll be looking at something just like in my playing days, man. I'll be looking at something over and over and over, just like one play for like 5 minutes. So yeah, I definitely gotta be able to play the game, right? Quote unquote, getting some content out. I think I only have something like 1,300 videos in 6 years. So if you look at a lot of these other people, these guys be having like 3,000 and 4,000 videos, right? This guy out watching boxing, he has like 10,000 videos. It's crazy. That's when you just making, you know what I'm saying? You're making videos 5 or 6 times a day. I might be lucky to get three, 4 joints out per week or something like that. So yeah, so podcasting, man, maybe I'll learn how to do some shorts or something. People are always asking me for more material, and definitely be a good way to oblige that. But listen, what up, people? What's going on, man? Feeling good, feeling fine. Kicking back, relaxing, trying to unwind before the season starts when the grind really hits. This is the time where, man, I try to do a little bit of a staycation. Obviously, you still have to put out material, right? I still have bills to pay. But, man, it's super slow, and then it's about to get super busy for the next, 9 months, 10 months or something like that. So you definitely have to find a way to find that happy medium, or you'll be like me sometimes where I'm like, damn, should I be doing something else right now? Right? Should I go ahead and pack it up and start something new, right? So I've already done that anyway, right? Establishing businesses outside of YouTube and that. So that definitely takes my mind off. And just being able to kick back and like enjoy other things. I'm a huge combat sports fan. I'm a huge hoops head. In fact, man, I grew up a hoops head, right? I grew up a basketball player. I played football, basketball, baseball my entire life, all 3 sports, and I love them pretty much all equally. But man, starting out as a kid, I was a huge hoop head. So you always hear basketball references and baseball references in my football work. So just trying to tie those in together, right? With a lot of those metaphors stemming from other sports. Huge, of course, music fan as well. R&B and rap, East Coast rap, right? Never been a big fan of rap other than East Coast rap, right? Mainly New York and Jersey, Philadelphia. Like that's my shit, right? Ever since I was a baby. So doing that. I can dig a little bit of West Coast music. Not a Southern music fan at all. I'm not a fan of the South at all, period, point blank. A little bit of Midwest. I can do a little bit of Midwest as well. So I don't know. But other than that, man, your boy pretty much all about the business, right? You see me where you don't really see me unless I'm doing the football. So I'm the one that keep my personal life very private. You don't see me on Instagram and all that talking about my personal life. You don't know nothing about me outside of this football stuff. So we're going to always keep it like that. But I could definitely open up a little bit more and make a little bit more content. So this will be that. We'll talk about some of the material that I've done. I like to talk about your man Daryl Taylor a little bit further and some of the stuff I did, Kenny McIntosh. Kind of review that, right? But big love to everybody out there, man. Showing love. Much love to all the people who out there who support the grind. I don't think people understand that crowd support really means everything to content creators and people who are in their own business. So this is not unlike anything that you see in your community of your mom and pop store or something like that. This is definitely that. So a lot of people are very respectful of that. A lot of people go out of their way to support the content, and I'm definitely appreciative of those people there. So, of course, you always got to do your own overhead, and the stuff's not cheap, man. You're talking about working with all this computer equipment and stuff that has to continuously be updated, and it's very expensive too. So just keeping the lights on that way. But your man Daryl Taylor, right? We're talking about that rotation. Yeah. Seahawks definitely have a very good edge rotation. As far as the top, you know what, the top two, right? Just straight up, right? We've already talked about it. Uchenna Nwosu, I think the world of that dude's skill set. And that's way back when I covered him at Rivals, right? For Trojansports.com, the USC website for Rivals. And I remember then he wasn't a big name on the team. He just made himself that. Right? He wasn't one of those star guys. They had a whole bunch of huge names on that particular team. And it's funny, a lot of those guys ended up just being bust, though. And he's one of those, I don't want to call him a try-hard guy, but he's definitely has a motor. But he's definitely an athletic guy as well. Obviously undersized, but not really undersized when you factor in even in odd front alignment. So putting him in an odd front alignment, having him be a linebacker, a line of scrimmage tethered linebacker, come on, man, that guy right there, what can't he do? I don't find him to be an explosive pass rusher like one of these guys. You look around, he might have 19 sacks in a season or something, like he's T.J. Watt or somebody like that, or your man Daniil Hunter. Some of these guys out there like that who can just absolutely go get it. They'll be threatening the sack record every damn year. But he's one of these guys who can consistently give you double-digit sacks when healthy. And I knew that when he was playing behind Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack and those guys out there in Los Angeles. Giving him his own team, he definitely showed it that year when he had 9.5 sacks. But 9.5 sacks is something that Daryl Taylor also had the same year. And I consider him to be a better pass rusher. I wanted a guy like that, which was the premise of that particular content item, just letting him hunt. Designated sniper, that's what I said right there. And of course, you always got to have dumbasses that come up in there, right? All right, yeah. You know, we said we were going to not give those dudes that much time, right, anymore. So I'm on one with that, no doubt about that. That's a new dope for me. But we'll really see once the season starts and you get triple the amount of eyes and stuff during the season. See how I can hold to that. But you definitely have guys who just don't understand when they see stuff. I believe they read a headline and they just rush the comment, right? Despite the fact that I actually give out a severe amount of detail in my work and tell you exactly what I'm thinking. So him as a designated sniper, a money down guy. Putting him in and let him hunt. Now, I mark like he is definitely trying to improve his ability to both set the edge and squeeze down on the run game, just being active in that manner there, you'd be a fool not to notice somebody trying that. Now, him being good at it, that's a totally different thing, right? He's not good at it by any stretch of imagination if we're talking about setting the edge. But I do think he can get after it as far as squeezing down. He just has to make sure that he lowers his pad level, makes the tackle when necessary there. And I don't know. Some people just not good at certain things. Not everybody's going to be good at everything. That's just rare. Some people are Hall of Fame level and they're just great at everything. Myles Garrett, what can't he do? So you don't have too many Myles Garretts walking the planet. But as straight pass rush skills, Darrell Taylor, yeah, I would take him over Uchenna Nwosu. I would take him even over Boye Mafe. Boye Mafe is another natural cat. You saw that his rookie season, right? In a little bit of time that he got, people were fretting, say, "Oh, I need to go out and you got to get this guy and that guy." And I'm like, man, just give Boye Mafe a chance. Sometimes you have to run what you brung, right? Sometimes you have to have these guys to where you give them enough time and you can really see what they can do. So now you see that this guy's a double-digit sack guy himself, and I believe he has even more to add to it. Obviously, those guys are rotating in and rotating out with certain players and stuff, but eventually the cream will rise to the top, and there you have Uchenna Nwosu and Boye Mafe. So a lot of teams played their two edge players 90-something% of the time, right? You don't see T.J. Watt going out for huge stretches of the time. Obviously, he has to go out sometime, but not a lot. Seattle Seahawks was seeming like, right, people were in a legit timeshare, like there was a running back duo or something like that. I would not have him in that. I would let Boye in them and somehow get him on the field with Boye and those guys, right? You wouldn't want to take them off the field either because they can rush the passer. But the thing about the Seahawks is you guys have dudes who can get after it on the inside as well. So taking guys out, yeah. Who are you going to take out? You're never going to want to take out Leonard Williams. That is one of those guys who's walking around who can do everything from an inside perspective. I seen him play some great football out here in Jersey for them Jets and also out here in Jersey for them Giants, right? So that man right there is certified. Jaron Reed is certified. You went out and got Byron Murphy. Rich people problems. Rich people problems because you also have Draymond Jones. And if they're talking about Draymond Jones being more on the edge, there you have it. There you have it. That's even better. Your man, Darrell Taylor, if on the team, I never said that I know about anyone who will make the team. I'm just going by, or I'm going through trying to hit as much personnel as I can in shorter videos. So I felt like I went through just about everybody on offense. Maybe need to double back a little bit, maybe get some of the offensive linemen there. But for the most part, I felt like I got everybody there. So starting with the edge players here in a little bit of, a couple of weeks we have left before training camp and all that. Yeah, Darrell Taylor. So I don't know if he'll make the team, but I do know of his talent. I know that if he's not on the team, if you would have cut somebody like Darrell Taylor, there will be a ton of teams after him. I mean, 21 or 22 sacks or something, 21 and a half sacks in the past 3 seasons. And then being in a timeshare at that, yeah, teams are going to jump all over that, right? So there's a premium put on pass rushers. So even if he does not have good edge presence as an all-around edge defender, he definitely is a natural pass rusher. You don't get 9.5 sacks just, you know what I'm saying, by mistake. So there are people out there that probably aren't as natural of a pass rusher. I would think one would be your man, Derek Hall. Now, I'll reserve judgment on that. He's definitely somebody that I need to get to, but I was already studying all those guys anyway. Obviously, I do film studies on them every week, but just taking them specifically and just looking at them game after game after game after game, Derek Hall definitely leaves a lot to be desired there. Man, I don't know what to think of that. Obviously, if you saw what I did after this, when he was drafted, and I did the film study and all that, I said that not terribly sure about this guy. I felt like he did a lot of his good work against inferior opponents. So not everybody you play against in college is going to be good, but I definitely want to see how you get down when you face your Georgias and Alabamas and all that. Not to say he did not have success against those guys, but some of it was circumstantial success. Not like he just going out and just beat somebody on a white collar sack, right? Not to say he didn't do that as well, but some of these guys you see them, they're like, damn, like a Will Anderson. That seemed to me like a no-brainer, and people were like trying to make that a little bit harder than it needed to be, right? No Diddy. Like, Will Anderson was the guy that I saw if he's going against Brad Jones or, you know what I'm saying, or Marius Mims at Georgia, those guys like that, it didn't matter. It looked the same as when he was going against Joe Blow. He was just that dude. So he showed that as a rookie of the year as well. And, yeah, there are a lot of people probably looking a little stupid there trying to overthink it. That's the thing about the draft, right? Some people want to be hipsters. I hate draft time. I hate it with a passion. You get people who don't necessarily watch college football, but they want to have an opinion because they'll go and watch a little bit of film for 2 or 3 games or something like that. Now, I won't say that I'm as dialed into college football as I used to be. College football used to be my bread and butter. As a matter of fact, I took this, right? This is one of the podcasts that I had that was popular at one particular point called Skiing to Death, and you can hear it still says noted college football writer or columnist or something like that, Merv Baldwin. So I started off as 100% college, and that was for the first, maybe four years of my career. So, yeah. So even when I first got to YouTube, for the first, maybe the first 3 years, I was 100% college football. So I would moonlight, do a little bit of NFL stuff, just because obviously I would know the draft picks and and stuff like that. But yeah, I was mostly covering college football, and specifically Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Clemson at one particular point in time, and USC. Yeah. Michigan, I would do like a little moonlighting on some of the Big Ten teams just because I'm naturally a Big Ten fan, and some of the ACC teams as well. But for the most part, yeah, I was all college. So having that and being able to cover some of those guys, like legitimately cover them when they were in high school. I was sent to cover all kinds of guys back when I lived in the South, which was a hotbed there, which is one of the reasons why I started with college football. I'm a businessman, right? I honestly do not give a shit about fandom. That's not my thing. Never really been my thing as far as being on the internet, just being a fan of something like that. I had to kind of lean into it mostly because of Seattle Seahawks fans, right? Annoying the shit out of me. And still to this day, for some odd reason, I don't know. I think some people don't really have anything to add to a football discussion besides being a fan. So that's what they want to talk about, right? When I'm in here talking about schemes and concepts and personnel, giving people different kind of ways to look at stuff, giving people different terminology, right? I have my terminology bitten all over the internet. My original terminology that comes from my brain, bitten all over the internet, stuff like that, and people want to be coming in like, he's a Seahawks fan. Despite the fact that, goddamn well, I'm not no damn Seahawks fan. I cover the Seattle Seahawks for a business endeavor. You found me covering the Seattle Seahawks, that doesn't mean I'm a fan of the Seahawks. You like the Seahawks, that doesn't mean I like the Seahawks, right? I don't. So, but I don't have to like a thing to cover it. Like, it's called a business. So before that, I covered the Atlanta Falcons. I can't even stand the South. And I covered the Atlanta Falcons. Same deal with the New Orleans Saints, although it was a little bit funner covering the New Orleans Saints, right? I have a long history covering. That was the first team I ever covered as far as NFL goes, them and the New York Giants way back at SB Nation. I was doing really good there, and that's how I kind of got found for some stuff. So being able to help out on a few sites there. But, yeah, so – all that people right there, it's a business. So, I mean, we can get into that further. Everybody's always asking me, oh, man, why do you cover the Seahawks? How do you cover the Seahawks? The answer's the same as it's been, man. Because you people asked me to do it, right, ad nauseum, and it worked out, right? So it's been a pretty good ride there. But make no mistake about it. Prior to that, I was covering other NFL teams, and I've covered every other a lot of NFL teams or some NFL teams since then, and simultaneously while covering the Seattle Seahawks. And I know people see that. They know that I'm an East Coast cat and all this and that. They see that and they still, I just think people just want to be annoying sometimes. So, like I said before, that's my new dope. We're going to try to make it a lot more smooth, covering the Seattle Seahawks content and just kind of making those people just kind of disappear, right? There's a block button for a reason. So if you come in there talking that fanboy shit, then it is what it is. If you come here talking that Eagles shit too, right, that's another thing that annoyed me. So much so that I think I may move on from Philadelphia Eagles coverage because I feel like Seattle Seahawks fans were super obsessive about the Philadelphia Eagles, and more so than any other team that I've covered, right? I covered the Jets and the Giants at the same time. I've covered the entire Mid-Atlantic. I don't know if that's the brand, the basis of my shit outside of the Seattle Seahawks is Mid-Atlantic, right? Mid-Atlantic Murph. My whole deal was to cover in all these states. I've lived in all these states too, or most of these states out here. And so covering those teams, I'm very familiar with every team in the Mid-Atlantic. And, man, I would say I have love for all the teams in the Mid-Atlantic just because I love the Mid-Atlantic itself. So whether it be Virginia, what I've lived at, Maryland I've lived in, obviously, you know me living in Jersey, right? In Jersey, the Philadelphia area of South Jersey, and where I live at in North Jersey, the New York area, so New York metropolitan area. So I just love this area. So, you know what I mean? Being able to interact with those people and covering their teams and shit like that, that's cool to me or whatever like that. Same deal with covering the Seattle Seahawks, which was people saw me covering the Atlanta Falcons when they played the Seattle Seahawks to open a game. I want to say 3 or 4 seasons ago. I forget which season that was, maybe 2021. And I did my Atlanta Falcons film study on that, and then somehow the Seahawks fans found it, and they was like, oh, man, you should do one for the Seahawks. I was like, oh, I never thought about, you know what I'm saying, covering the team out on the West Coast like that. All my business has been back east. So, and I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people kept asking me about it. Like, come on, you got to do the Seahawks. Try. We love your style. We like that. You know what I mean? You're funny. You do this and that. You're very entertaining as well as informative, all this. So I was like, well, all right, I'll oblige. I'll do one. I thought I was just going to do one. I've done one-offs before when people come and they find it. But I did one, and people, they loved it or whatever like that. People shared it, and I was like, okay. I did another, and then the rest is history. So we kept trekking. That's what it is. So you people asked for it. I got a huge fan base out there doing it. Right, one of the bigger fan bases I had, not the biggest. So that's another thing that people always say. Nah, man, I've had huge fan bases with college football. There's nothing like college football. It's hard to do numbers like college football if you can really be dialed into like a Georgia, Alabama, and those guys like that, and they really got it going and winning. Or if you get one of those teams like a LSU, that would probably always be my biggest cover because I called that before it happened. I just had a feeling that those guys were going to have a huge year, and I was pumping it up in the preseason, in the off season or whatever like that, and it hit. So it's tough to beat that type of stuff. Those guys just, I don't know. I guess a lot of people just attend colleges like that. So, but definitely my most notable NFL fan base. So I've only covered a few teams at that, the Mid-Atlantic teams and Seattle. So there you have it. So we can let that be that. Obviously, people going to ask again, and I'll have to tell the story again. So we'll see what it is, though. But listen, moving on past that, your man, Kenny McIntosh. I mean, we're in that right there with Kenny McIntosh. Kenny McIntosh, I don't think you guys understand. So that's another guy, right? A Georgia guy. When we're talking about Georgia players from that particular time period, those are guys that I had to see at these camps. I would work with the Rivals camps, even be able to attend some of the Nike regional camps working there. So you see those guys go through drills. You get to see them being weighed. They do their speed test and all that there. So, and obviously if Georgia is on a player, trust and believe, right? They're big time. But he wasn't necessarily that. It's just like how he entered the NFL as a 7th round pick. He was kind of an afterthought. They had lost a running back to LSU I want to say a little bit before signing day. His name's John Emery. I think he's actually still at LSU right now. In his last year, he's like in his 5th year, something like that. And, of course, Kenny McIntosh in his 2nd year in the NFL. Kenny McIntosh, all he did, in my opinion, was outshine a cat like James Cook. If you could see him at the Buffalo Bills, a damn good running back, right? Very good. Him and Kenny McIntosh very similar, except Kenny McIntosh a little bit bigger and a little bit more physical, but they both had that versatility as far as catching the ball. Obviously, James Cook, the brother of Dalvin Cook, superstar running back, used to be of the Minnesota Vikings, then flopped out when he left and was a New York Jet and then had to get cut. I forget where he went after that. Man, was it the Ravens maybe or something like that? It was bad. He was terrible as a Jet. So, but James Cook was the truth. And then they had Zamir White. So those are 2 5-star running backs. But Kenny McIntosh up in there, right, coming behind those guys and was shining as much as those guys, looking more explosive at times than James Cook, looking as powerful as Zamir White, who they call Zeus White. He's electrifying. Running that slow 40 time or slower 40 time or whatever like that, if that's what made him go in the 7th round, is cool. I don't think running back should go before the 3rd round, right? 2nd round is cool, whatever like that, but most of these good backs, they're going even in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. You don't have to be a high draft pick to be a great running back. A lot of those busts, like my man Saquon, right, from them Penn State Nittany Lions. He's not a bust per se, but if you're the 2nd pick in the draft and you're on another team, you know what I mean, you're supposed to be the franchise of that team. I think it lets you know exactly where the running back position is. Same deal with Josh Jacobs, another 1st-round draft pick. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, another 1st-round draft pick, being outshined by my man Isaiah Pacheco from Rutgers, them Scarlet Knights, right? Pay attention to them Scarlet Knights. And, of course, from South Jersey, out in the Violent City, right? Isaiah Pacheco outshining that 1st-round draft pick. I believe they re-signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he signed for a pretty marginal deal because he's not even a starter on his own team. The guy who is the starter and the fire plug is Pacheco, the 7th-round pick. So, cat like Kenny McIntosh, I can imagine doing the same thing. It would be hard to sign a cat like Kenneth Walker, though. I think he's one of the best doing it in the NFL. Kenneth Walker is fun to watch, especially when he's getting a little bit more vertical. Sometimes the East and West stuff can be a bit much to watch. Feels like he definitely hurts his team when he does that, but obviously more times than not, he's going to help his team and he's going to get out of sticky situations. He can make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Your man is the absolute truth. Zach Charbonnet, definitely one of these guys that's going to get vert on you, right? He's getting north-south. There's no doubt about it. Not as much wiggle as a Kenneth Walker, but he doesn't need it. He's going to run through your chest. I definitely need to make some I think I had a LOL content coming out with Zach Charbonnet. We'll get to that sometime soon. But, yeah, that's a nice 1-2 punch right there. People, the classic thunder and lightning or whatever like that. But Zach Charbonnet can be very explosive as well, and Kenneth Walker can lower the shoulder. To me, Kenny McIntosh is a combination of both, and I've showed it plenty of times, and I've seen it. I've seen every snap that dude had at the University of Georgia, and even had to pay attention to him when he was in Florida. He might have been like the Fort Lauderdale area or something like that. I knew coming in, I'm like, I think people might need to pay attention to this guy. The Georgia fans were a little perturbed because they didn't really know who he was, and he wasn't a 5-star. So the John Emery kid was a 5-star. Kenny McIntosh was a 3-star, I believe. But obviously he left out of there as one of the better players, and a lot of people definitely enjoyed watching him at the University of Georgia. So would not sleep on that kid. But then again, it's the Seattle Seahawks, and they are absolutely loaded on the offensive side of the ball as far as the skill players, and of course the guys are in the backfield, even in the quarterback position, right? Definitely have a nice depth there with Yosemite Sam Howell going behind Geno Smith. So yeah, we shall see. So I'm not the type, I don't do the prediction stuff. Like especially if we're talking about a team that has a brand new head coach and 2 coordinators that have never been coordinators at the NFL level. How do you know? You can't genuinely say anything, right? I know anything's a prediction, but you can't even really have an educated guess until you really can see what those guys can do as coaches, right? Mike Macdonald looked like the truth in the Baltimore Ravens organization, but everyone looked like the truth with the Baltimore Ravens organization because that is the truth. That's a top 5 franchise in the NFL, one of the most consistent, and in my opinion, the hardest team in the league. They stay hard, like, you know what I mean, like prison bars. Those dudes will always be a team built on defense and running the ball and being physical. Now, they've added that element as far as passing goes. I miss covering the Baltimore Ravens, not going to lie, right? I miss Baltimore, period. So at least a little bit of it, right? Some stuff I don't miss about living in Baltimore, but covering that team was definitely a blast there. Those guys get after it. So he comes from a great organization, and yeah, he definitely has a leg up as far as that goes. But you only know when they're able to do it themselves outside of a successful John Harbaugh and being up under a Wink Martindale, being able to further his system or tweak his system that you're already running with the type of personnel that they have. So we shall see on that front. All right. But with that being said, man, once again, man, I appreciate everybody out there. It should be a good year. We have some special stuff coming up this year as far as sponsors go, and something that should be real cool for the people that people have been asking me about for years. We should be able to get down like that. As always, man, make sure you support the channel. Make sure you support the grind. And that goes with me and anybody else, right? You know what I'm saying? If you really dig the content, you should definitely be supporting the content because, hey, you get to consume that bad boy for free, right? You got people who watch and watch and watch and watch for years and years and years. And, you know what I mean? They just get to entertain themselves and get to go home with some football information or bring that information to their people and, you know what I'm saying, the lingo and all that. So just make sure you're always supporting me and everyone out there who are doing this type of stuff for a living, all right? Much love to everybody out there. Shout out to all the people out in Hawaii. We had mad people out in Canada, right? Vancouver seems to be very popular as far as that goes there. Of course, the entire state of Washington, Oregon, Northern California, but even Southern California, right? People are just all around. That's what people just need to know. Not everybody lives in the same city that their team that they root for. A lot of people probably didn't even grow up in the city of the team that they root for. So there's a lot of people all around, and that's with every team, right? The United States is very transient anyway, but you definitely notice that when you talk about sports and sports fandom. So shout outs to people out in Europe, Hawaii, cats were watching out, a ton of people in Texas, Idaho, North Dakota, some of those states that I don't even think about, right? So Nevada, big shouts to all the people out here on the East Coast as well. Some people down south, Macon, Georgia, and places like that. Had a cat from Minnesota, you know what I'm saying, was tapping in. So it is what it is. All right, your boy Murph, the Underground King. Big salute, scheme to death, baby.